This is Charlie Remy, and I would like to just read a few things from an interview that I did with Alice Eng for a publication called In the Library with the Lead Pipe. So this is describing characteristics of my autism, and we like to say often in the autism community that when you've met one person with autism, you've met one person with autism. Each person's characteristics are different and of varying intensities. So here are some characteristics that I have. Linear concrete thinking. It's challenging for me to conceptualize abstract concepts or ambiguity. I can struggle to process complex information that I'm not familiar with and might need it explained multiple times. Math was extremely challenging for me in school, and to this day I prefer to avoid math if possible. Sensitivity to sudden loud sounds that I'm not expecting, such as noisy motorcycles, sirens, dogs barking, phones suddenly ringing. Overall, I have very high anxiety and can become easily overwhelmed when I have a lot of things to accomplish because everything has the same level of urgency to me. It's challenging for me to prioritize sometimes. I have poor gross and fine motor skills. In fact, in middle school, I received occupational therapy. I have obsessive compulsive disorder and I'm very perfectionistic. I constantly check over the work I do to make sure that there aren't any mistakes, and I check my alarm clock multiple times before I go to bed to make sure it's set properly. Those are just a few examples. Transitions between tasks are challenging, especially if I'm not done with a task and need to move on to something else. I prefer to finish my current task and then move on to the next one. I often speak what's on my mind and have trouble filtering my thoughts. It's hard for me to adapt to expectations in certain social situations. You don't say this that way to that person. Since I tend to act the same way in all situations, I'm an open book and often state the obvious, even if it's considered rude. Most people on the spectrum have intense interests where they become very knowledgeable on certain topics since they spend so much time researching and thinking about them. My special interests include television news and the media in general, current events, the Spanish language, and world travel. When I was a child, I used to love to collect things like keychains, small flags of countries around the world, and coffee mugs from TV stations across the country. I'm a very intellectually curious person, so I ask a lot of questions, some of which can be quite detail-oriented. This can annoy others in a meeting or classroom environment. As I mentioned, I'm detail-oriented and tend to focus on the minutiae and lose the forest for the trees. This can be an asset in librarianship where little details can be important.